topic is whether you should flip or rent. What is that decision based off of? Okay, so we're going to talk about a few things and then give you the rule of thumb that will determine whether you need to flip or buy and hold. First of all, we're going to start with basics. So the difference between flipping and rental, what's the main difference? Well, it's a huge difference, okay? And these are two of the three exit strategies that you have in real estate. So in real estate, you have three exit strategies. Wholesale, in which you're not buying the property, you're just getting a property in the contract and then selling the rights of the contract to an end buyer. Your second and third exit strategies are flipping and buy and hold. So the main difference between these two is that flipping, it's just a way for you to get a big paycheck, okay, and fairly quickly if you know what you're doing. But this is a lot riskier, flipping, than rental. And rental is just a long-term investment in real estate to give you passive income, okay, because real estate is one of the best means to accumulate wealth, but it's a long-term investment. So there's nothing such as get rich quick scheme through real estate, and that is achieved through passive income owning a rental portfolio, okay? So when you own rentals, obviously it's just a way to have and leverage from other people and time versus flipping. It's your work. So it's, if you stop working, you stop making money, okay? So now, as far as risk, obviously flips are by far very risky. The reason why is because when you engage in flipping, you need to nail three numbers down to the penny. And if you don't, it's going to tap into your net profit from the flip. So to begin with, if you're thinking about doing flips, you need to aim to make at least a 20% profit. So what does that mean? Let's assume that you buy a property for 100K, you put in 50,000 in rehab, and you sell it for 200,000. So what it means is that you need to make at least a 20% return on the sale price. So 20% of 200,000 is 40,000. Okay. So your 20% of the sale price would be 40K. So unless you are making a 20% return, it is not even worth engaging in a flip, okay? It just doesn't make any sense. So now, in order for you to be able to accomplish a 20% return on a flip, guess what? You need to nail three numbers like really well. Number one, ARV, okay? Which is what you're gonna hopefully sell the property for. The ARV needs to be very accurate. Now, the challenge with the pandemic and with the shortage of inventory is that in about 6 to 9 months, when hopefully courts open up, then the backlog of pre-foreclosure filings are going to start entering the market, right? So there's going to be an increase in inventory supply causing property prices to adjust. Right now, they're pretty high. They're holding high because of the shortage of inventory. But once you have an increase in supply, property prices may decline, and they're going to decline for about 10 to 15%, okay? So that's something that you need to consider when doing flips. ARVs, number one. Number two, what you pay for the property. So that's called your max allowable offer. So the most you should pay for the property, okay? Because if you overpay for the property, guess what? You're not going to make a 20% return on your flip. No way. So the question is, how do you come up with your max allowable offer, meaning the most you should pay? Well, that formula is derived from your ARV and your rehab. So you need to have your ARV. Let's assume the ARV is 200,000. Okay. We're going to multiply this times 70%. So that's 140. Okay. And we're going to subtract the rehab. So if the rehab is 50,000, so we have 140K minus 50,000 from the rehab. That means that the most you should pay for this property is $90,000. Okay, so that is your max allowable offer. Now the question is, why are you gonna multiply your ARV times 70%? Well, 20% is gonna be your profit, and 10% is going to be your holding expenses, carrying cost, which means the cost of money, right? If you're taking a loan, you're paying interest. You might be paying prevailing interest, not principal, taxes, insurance, gas, electric, water, perhaps HOAs, and that's about it. Okay, so that is why we need to multiply the ARV times 70% and then subtract the rehab. So that's the second number that you need to nail. So the first one is the ARV. The second one, the most you need to pay for the property. And guess what? The third is your rehab. Okay, so the third is the rehab. Oftentimes, investors make a lot of mistakes when estimating the scope of work. Why? Because perhaps they don't have a construction background, so it's not easy to come up with an accurate scope of work. Why? Because guess what? When you open up a house, there will always be unexpected items that arise, always, 100% of the time. So you always need to account for a cushion. So now the question is, how do you come up with an accurate rehab scope, right? The easy way is to understand the square footage of the property, because that's going to drive how much work, labor, and material is put into the property. So typically, we have a rule of thumb that works really well for properties that are in B and C neighborhoods, meaning middle income neighborhoods. Okay, not the most expensive one, not the most challenging. So the middle, like Cicero, Maywood, Schiller Park, those are BC neighborhoods. Okay, so the way to do that is take the square footage and multiply times $20. Okay, so let's assume the square footage is 1,500 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Then 1,500 times $20 is 30,000. Okay, but 30,000 is not going to be your scope of work. You need to add at least $5,000 to $10,000 in cushion. So here I would say it's not going to be 30,000. It's going to be 40,000. Okay, so you need to account for 40,000 scope of work. Okay, so it's again very simple. Take the square footage times 20%. Now, if you are rehabbing a property in an A neighborhood like Mount Prospect, Wilmette, Northbrook, Glenview, you cannot multiply the square footage times $20. Why? Because the rehab quality in those neighborhoods is going to be higher. So you're not going to spend $20, you're going to spend $30, $40. So if you spend in a B neighborhood 40,000, that translates into 60, 70,000 in an A neighborhood, okay? But to maximize your net profit on a flip, you have to focus on A minus, B and C neighborhoods, okay? And then your purchase price on the property should be less than $250,000 for a flip. My ideal flip would be purchase price of less than $200,000, okay? But you can go as high as $250,000, okay? So again, that is the risk of a flip, that you need to nail 3 numbers down: ARV, max allowed offer, and your rehab. Now the question is, on the rehab, will there be a very light rehab on a property? Yes, but that's going to be less than 5% of the times, okay? Out of 100 properties, you're lucky if you have 5 that are like light rehab. What we mean by light is just paint and cosmetic work. That's it. But most of the properties that we're looking for that are off market, distressed, are going to need updates on the bathrooms and kitchens. By default, it's going to be a medium rehab. So a medium rehab for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, about 1,700 square feet, is going to run about $35,000 to $45,000. Okay, that's a medium rehab. Now, if you are doing a good rehab, then your risk goes through the roof. Okay, when you do a good rehab, that means that you are touching not only bathrooms, kitchens, but you're redoing flooring, perhaps all the windows. You're doing plumbing systems, electric systems, HVAC systems, perhaps not from scratch, but you're doing rough plumbing, rough electric, and you might be updating most of the HVAC, like the water heater, furnace, AC, the condenser. So again, keep in mind that you need to stick to light to medium rehabs, because that's where the money is on small, simple, in and out investments, right? The money is not on big rehabs. In fact, it's the opposite. You open up a big can of worms because you're going to need to deal with village inspections. You need to have licensed GCs, licensed electricians, licensed plumbers, licensed HVAC. Pretty much you're touching every system, so you're going to need to deal with more inspections, okay? So that is why you need to do what's called a micro flip, meaning focus on small in and out rehabs, okay, where the rehab is less than 50,000. The sweet spot is 35 to 45,000, okay? When you do medium rehab, that means that you're updating the kitchen, the bathroom for sure, with the flooring, painting for sure, some light fixtures, light electric work, light plumbing, light HVAC, perhaps some roof repairs, fix some windows, some curb appeal, outside, exterior, nothing crazy, okay? So that is the flip. In my opinion, it's very risky to do a successful flip. We've done probably 3 flips, and that's about it. We love rentals. So rentals are more forgiving, because guess what? If you don't get the ARV 100% accurate, it's not the end of the world, okay? As long as you end up with 25% equity. What it means is that if you buy it for 100, you put in 50, that it appraises for 200. So that means that you have 50K in equity, or 25%, okay? That is the requirement. When you look at the numbers on rentals, why? Because when you buy the property up front on a rental, you're gonna be borrowing money from either a hard money lender or a private money lender. So that's expensive money, 12% interest rate average. So, and not only that, it's a short-term loan, 4 to 6 months. So at the end of the term, you need to refinance, you need to pay them off. You're gonna use conventional lenders to refinance, either residential or commercial programs, to pay them off, to pay the 150,000 or so that you borrowed. When you refinance, they're gonna ask you to have 25% equity. That means that you can do a payoff of 75% of the ARV. So 75% of 200,000 is gonna be 150,000. So with 150,000, that should suffice for you to pay what you borrow on the purchase and on the rehab, okay? That is why the key numbers when you do rentals is to really nail down the ARV. Now, you're gonna have some more leeway on the max allowed offer, okay? Because it's a more forgiving offer. You can afford to pay a little bit more for the property. Why? Because you don't need to sell the property per se, okay? You might have, if you end up overpaying for the property, you might have a little bit more money stuck in the property, right? If you don't end up with 25% equity. And the second thing is the rehab. The rehab doesn't need to be the same quality as for the flip, okay? So with the flip, you really need to do a great job with the rehab, because otherwise you're not gonna be able to command top dollars for your flip, okay? So when you do a rehab for a rental, instead of being maybe 40,000, it might end up being 30,000, 35,000. So you're gonna be able to get away with some of the expenses for the rehab when you do a rental, okay? So now the question is, which strategy are you gonna take? Are you gonna flip or are you gonna rent? Obviously, the long-term answer is
rent.
You should focus on rentals, okay? That's just the way to accomplish financial freedom through real estate. However, it's also a great idea to do flips, because that's just, as I said before, a way for you to cash a big paycheck. As long as you get all these three numbers down successfully, okay? That you sell it for what you came up, the ARV, what you came up as far as the ARV, that you stay within the budget for the rehab, and that you pay the right price for the property, okay? But again, something that a lot of people overlook is when they are thinking, well, should I flip or should I rent? Well, guess what? Sometimes it's not up to you. It's going to be up to the market itself where you have the property. Because guess what? We have flipping markets and we have rental markets, okay? So what I mean by that is, if, for instance, you're thinking about doing a flip on a market that does not support flips, what it means is that non-flipping markets are the markets where when you put a property for sale, it's going to stay on the market for at least 6 months. That's not a flipping market, because just think about this. Market time, 6 months. Rehab time, maybe 2 months. So that's 8 months. Pretty much you're going to be able to do maybe one deal a year, okay? So the market where the property is does not support flips. However, if you are in a flipping market, a flipping market is where the market time is less than 2.5 months. That means the minute you put the property on the market, it's going to sell in 2.5 months or less. Okay, that's a flipping market. So that is the first factor that you need to consider. Is my market in a flipping market or not? Or is it in a rental market? What's a rental market? A rental market is where the rents are through the roof, over 1,500 rents for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and yet you can buy properties for less than 200,000. Example, Allsip, Berkeley are the top 2 rental markets in the west, in the suburbs, because you can buy a property for about 185,000, but yet the rents are for Berkeley over 2,000, 2,100 for a 3-bedroom, and in Allsip, the rents are 1,800 for a 3-bedroom. Yet you can buy properties for less than 200,000. So that is an example of a top rental market. So what would you do in that market? Well, if it's a top rental market, you might need to end up doing a rental, okay? If it's in a flipping market, it's obvious that the best option is to do a flipping. Some markets support both the strategies, okay? So you can do either one, flip or rental. But guess what? There's another formula that we came up with that works amazing, okay? So there are 2 things that you need to take into account. The exit strategy is supported by the market. So you're gonna have flipping market and rental markets. So the metrics that you need to understand on flipping markets is the months of housing supply, okay? And we give that to you in ChicagoDealVault. We analyze over 300 neighborhoods, and in every single market, we give you, under the sales market analysis, what the months of housing supply is. Meaning, how long would it take before all the entire inventory of properties for sale would run out? It has to be 2.5 months or less. That's market time, okay, not rehab time. So you need to add that up to your rehab time, okay? And the second factor is I'm gonna give you a formula, okay, that works amazing. So let me erase what we have so far, and then we're going to summarize these, and I'll write these again. Okay, so the formula is take your net profit. Okay, so if you're going to flip the property, let's take the same example where you sell it for 200,000, right? And you're going to make 20%, so that's 40,000K, that's your profit, okay? So the assumption is that you bought it for 100, you put in 50,000, okay, and then you sell it for 200,000. And you are going to make a 40% profit. Now, if you were to buy and hold the property, the question is, what's going to be your positive monthly cash flow, okay? So if your positive monthly cash flow on this property is about, let's say, 500 per month, okay? So let me give you the formula. We're going to take the monthly positive cash flow per month times 12. So on a yearly basis, it's going to be 6,000, okay? And you're gonna multiply these, this is per year, and you're gonna multiply these times 10 years. So in 10 years, so we're gonna multiply, obviously 10, 6K times 10 years, that's equivalent to 60K, okay? So which one is higher, 60,000 or 40,000? So yeah, if you're gonna cash flow on this property 500 a month, that means that in 10 years, you're gonna have 60,000 in positive cash flow, okay? So that's a rule of thumb. If that number is greater than your net profit from the flip or the 40,000, then you need to buy and hold. Obviously, just keep in mind that the first factor is whether you're in a rental or a flipping market. So those are the two factors that you need to consider to be able to decide whether you're gonna flip or buy and hold, okay? So for the long term, you always need to think rentals, but you need to think, is my property in a flipping market or rental market, or both? And what's gonna be my 10-year cash flow versus my net profit on the flip? So now let's change the numbers. What if I was to make maybe 200 in cash flow, okay? So if I make 200 per month per cash flow, if we multiply 200 times 12, it's going to be, so that's 2,000, that's 2,400, okay? 2,400 per year. Now we're gonna multiply 2,400 times 10 years, that's going to be 24,000, okay? So if I'm gonna make on a flip 40,000, but if I buy and hold the property just making 200 a month, it's gonna be in 10 years only 24,000. So in that case, it makes sense to flip the property for 40,000. Does that make sense? So let me quickly summarize so that you understand what we're talking about. Okay. Okay, Gigi, we're gonna numbers. Factor number one that you need to think, what's your end goal? What is it that you want to achieve in real estate? If you want financial freedom, you've got to focus on rentals. It's the long-term mean for you to achieve financial freedom by owning rentals, leveraging from other people's money and other people's time. Okay, that's rule number one. However, doing both flips and rentals, it's a great strategy because through flips you can get big paychecks. So that's a way for you to capitalize yourself, meaning have enough capital to do more deals. Okay, so a combination of the two would be ideal. Okay, now the second thing that you need to focus is what exit strategy does the market you're focusing on support? Are you in a flipping market? Are you in a rental market? Or is your market supporting both? So a flipping market means that the market time is going to be 2.5 months or less. A rental market means that you're going to be collecting over $1,500 a month for a 2 or 3 bedroom home, okay? Such as Berkeley, Old Sip. So that's factor number 2. Factor number 3 is your framework of your monthly cash flow times 10 years, okay, versus your net profit on the flip. Which one is greater? So if you're cash flowing 200 a month, in 10 years, that's equivalent to 24,000. If you're making 40,000 on the flip, then you've got to flip it, right? But if you're cash flowing 500 per month, that's equivalent to 60,000 in 10 years, which is greater than the 40,000 net profit or 20% net profit on your flip. Therefore, you have to buy and hold. So those are the 3 rule of thumbs that you need to take into account. End goal in mind, what your market supports, and the rule of thumb that I gave you, the cash flow for the next 10 years versus your net profit. So when you put all these 3 factors on the table, you will easily be able to determine what to do with the property, whether you need to flip it or buy and hold. Let me give you an example. We bought a property in Lansing in December, end of December, January 1st. We put the property on the market right now for rent. So that property will cash flow. It's a 2 flat, right? So renting 2 units is going to cash flow close to 800 per month. If we were to flip it, we're going to make like 50,000. So now think about this: 800 per month times 12. That's
72.
9,600 times 10 years, 96,000. So what's greater, 96,000 or 50,000 that we make on a flip? It's a no-brainer, right? We need to buy and hold. And by default, when you own multi-units, meaning 2 to 4 or higher, the incentive of owning multi-unit is cash flow, right? So most of the times, it doesn't make sense to flip multi-units, okay? Multi-units are great for cash flow. So obviously, we're gonna end up holding the property, okay? Now, are there any questions on the line regarding what we just discussed? Any questions on the line? Let me check the chat. Or you can unmute yourself.
Yes, Hugo, this is Mark.
Yes, Mark.
My question is, you're only talking about the flip for 1 year, but you're talking about the rentals for 10 years. What if you're doing 2 flips, 3 flips a year? And you did that for 10 years.
Right. So if you do flips, like I know one of my mentors, all he's done is flips throughout his probably real estate career that, for the last 10 years. So he's made a ton of money, okay?
Yes.
However, when you do flips, you need to continue working, right? So it's like you're running on the treadmill. That's the main difference. You're gonna capitalize yourself. You're gonna have a lot of cash flow in the bank, right? But you don't have that passive income, right? So you need to invest that money wisely so that it grows. Because if you have money in the bank, guess what? I mean, it's gonna devaluate. It's gonna lose value. It's gonna lose value.
But what if you did a couple flips, like 3 flips a year and 3 rentals a year, then combining them?
Exactly. That's a better way. Because if you combine both strategies, I think that's the best of 2 worlds, right? Not focusing 100% on flips, because that's just a perfect example of what Andrew Holmes did when he started his career. All he did was flips. So the more he worked, the less he made. I mean, he was exhausted, burnt out, right? Because he was running on a treadmill. He made good money, don't get me wrong, but it was just too much work, right? And if he stopped working the next day, guess what happened to his income? It went down to 0. So he needed to live off of his previous earnings, right?
Yes.
So you are not letting or living off of other people's money and time. So what you suggested is ideal. Do a couple of flips and focus primarily on rentals. That's by far the best strategy.
Yeah. Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Great question. And then something that we forgot to mention is taxes, right? Taxes plays a big role, especially on rentals, right? Because taxes could be a deal breaker. So just do your due diligence on the taxes just to make sure that they don't kill your cash flow. Look at some of the tax exemptions. Are there any other questions?
Oh, shit. What hard money lenders that does both taxes and, not taxes, but flips and rentals?
Okay, so who is this?
This is Eric, Southside.
Eric.
Yes.
Eric, question. Are you part of the cash flow or wholesale industry circle from ChicagoDealVault or not?
No, I'm learning. I'm in your class, brother.
Oh, okay, great. So let me tell you, through ChicagoDealVault, we work with, we have 27 preferred Harmony lenders, and we have a couple of them, like Renovo, that they do both. They do rehab loans or fix and flip loans, and they also do rentals, right? So with them, they can give you the money up front for the purchase and the rehab. And once you finish the rehab, they can roll that over and make it a rental loan, okay? So yeah, no, absolutely. So we have over 27. So I can show you the ones that can help you with both. But when you are part of the Cash Flow in a Circle group, guess what? We have raised $1 million in capital to fund your deal. So we're going to give you 100% of the purchase, 100% of the rehab. So we just have up to, the limits are as follows: 100% of the purchase price up to 150,000, and 100% of the rehab up to 20,000. If the rehab is more than 20 but less than 50, then we still give you 100% of the rehab, but we give you 90% of the purchase price. Okay. So it's extremely powerful. I'm going to send you the link via the chat for you to join our meeting. In fact, we have a live event this Sunday at 1 p.m. Doubletree Oakbrook. Okay. So we're going to talk about all of that. We're going to join Cash Flow and Wholesale Inner Circle groups. Are you able to come? That would be amazing if you guys can come. We have sent the invites already, but I'm going to send you the link to the Inner Circle group, the Cash Flow and the Wholesale.
Thank you.
Great question, Eric. Any other questions on the line? Alice, so let me send you the link right now. Are there any other questions on the line? What strategies are you taking on right now? Who would like to jump in? Who would like to share?
I like the rental strategy personally, but
say that again. I just pasted the link to the Cash Flow Inner Circle member. What was the comment?
no, I like the rental strategy. Your strategy with the rental. This is Eric again.
Right.
I think it's a great strategy, and I'm looking forward to working with you, man.
Yeah, no, me too, Eric. So if you can come Sunday, that'll be great. Please send us an email to support@ChicagoDealVault.com, and then we can send you the invite for Sunday. If you're part of the group, we have already sent the invites, but if you're not yet, you can still come. Come this Sunday. It's going to be an incredible networking event.
Right.
So yeah, again, ideal rentals are just the way to go for sure. But as Mark suggested, if you combine both the strategies, that'll be even better. In my personal opinion, I think flips are still too risky, too stressful. Making sure you stay on the budget, that you buy it at the right time, and that you sell it on time for the price that you want to sell it. Right now, it's a seller's market, so it's easy to do flips. In fact, historically, flippers have not made as much money as they have in the last 9 months because it's a seller's market. But the problem is finding great deals right now. Are there any other questions on the line or anything that you are stuck with that you need assistance with?
No.
What's preventing you guys from being more successful? Share your story.
Hugo, I sent you an email today about one of the properties that was sent to me from your DealVault, and I wanted to move forward with it, but I don't know what the next step is.
Okay, so who is this?
Marie.
Marie. Okay, so the way it works is we're sourcing off-market properties, primarily pre-foreclosures, high equity in all the markets. Okay, so if you're interested in one of those properties, then just let us know. And what we're going to do is we're going to give that property to the Wholesale Inner Circle group. Okay, so they are the acquisition specialists. So they're going to go out to the property, try to get it on the contract, because we know the numbers on that property. We know the contact information of the owner. We know they're in financial distress. So we're going to try to get it on the contract. Once we get it on the contract, it's going to come back to you.
Okay. Thank
you. Yeah, thank you, Marie. Anybody else would like to jump in and share if your story, anything that is preventing you from being more successful?
Hugo, this is Rudy.
Hi, Rudy.
What's holding me back is I don't have that 10 or 50% down on the purchase price. I do have a good credit rating.
So you don't have the money, but you have the credit?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's not a problem, Rudy, because two solutions for your case. Through the cash flow inner circle group, we can fund the transaction. So if it's a great deal, we can do 100%. Even if the rehab is over 20,000, we can do 100%. You just need to show reserves that you're going to be able to pay the principal, interest, tax, and insurance for the next 3 months. Okay. And the other option is on Sunday, we're going to do a great networking event, right? So if you're lacking money, there are going to be people there with tons of money. So you can do partnerships on, let's say, on a flip, right, to capitalize yourself. So please make sure that you come on Sunday.
Sure, I'll be there.
Perfect. Anybody else? Who would like to jump in? Yeah, absolutely. Everything is overpriced. I agree with you. People are paying crazy money, and the reason is because of the shortage of inventory. How do you find properties before they hit the market? Okay, so great question. That's exactly what the Wholesale Inner Circle group is all about. So they're focusing on off-market properties. So off-market properties are properties that are technically not for sale, but they're owned by distressed owners, either financially or emotionally. So these are the lead pipes that we're focusing on for off-market. Probates, so people who passed away and the heirs get these properties free and clear and they don't know what to do with them. So we're going after probates, pre-foreclosures, so people that are in pre-foreclosure, meaning that eventually they're going to lose their home. So we try to connect with the owners. Properties that are going to go to the judicial auction in the next 90 to 120 days. We also reach out to owners of vacant properties. And we also tap into bank-owned properties or REOs. Okay, so we have the ability to buy those directly from the bank as well. So those are the lead pipes that we focus on to get properties on the contract off market. Okay, because if you look at the MLS, well, it's not only overpriced, but people are paying crazy money. So it's hard to get a great deal from the MLS today. Another question? Anybody else? Oh, perfect. So George, anybody else? Hey, George, would you like to share anything with the group?
Well, I also have been looking and trying to track down deals. And again, everything is a little overpriced. So I am having a difficult time locating good properties. But you know what? You just got to keep trying, and that's all you could do. I actually am trying to bid on properties, quickly and get them under contract. But I'm actually, it's been very difficult. That's all I could say. It's been difficult, but it's actually it's a new approach that you've been teaching us. So it's been good. I mean, but a little discouraging because you do a lot of work, or it seems like I'm doing a lot of work. But again, it's a learning curve, and that's it. And I'm glad that you're coaching us along and trying to put the structures in place so this way we'll be successful. I mean, it's just a period of time right now. When the market turns, it's going to be very exciting because there'll be a lot of deals, but we're just not there yet. That's all.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, right now, the wholesaling team is doing bandit signs, postcards, cold calling, boss, door knocking. So pretty much everything that you can possibly do. Probates as well, pre-foreclosures, vacant properties. So they're doing all the lead pipes, but again, it's difficult. But yeah, they've been getting deals on the contract. Like in the last, I would say the last month, people got 3 properties on the contract. So we were able to wholesale them like in a day or so. So yeah, the market it's crazy today. Are you going to be on Sundays, George, at the meeting?
Yes, I'm very
Awesome.
excited about that. So looking forward to meeting a lot of you guys. And again, I mean, if you have, I mean, I'd be willing to join venture with somebody on the deal too. I have no problem with that. You know, whatever's out there, it's just the deal needs to make sense. That's all.
Perfect. And George, how is the property in Florida that you got on the contract? We just did the inspection recently.
Yes. So I had
So what's the status?
So all my inspections came out really well. So just really just minor. It's a minimal any kind of rehab on it. So basically, we're gonna just paint. There were I got a lot of pictures from the inspector that came out to do the inspection, and it has well water, but it has a filtration system where they put a shed on it. Everything's in good shape. The only thing we need to do is paint, and that's all we need to do. And there's a couple little like electrical outlets that are cracked. And even the real estate lady, she was shocked. She goes, the lady built the house brand new. She lived there. She went there to retire. And we bought the house just by looking at pictures that we put under contract. And I was a little nervous, but I'm like, hey, you know what? We sort of know the area. And so it was a big risk. But the real estate lady's been there already like 4 times since whatever we got it under contract. And she keeps looking at the house. She shakes her head. She goes, you got to really, like, she said, yeah, I overbid everybody. She goes, but she says, there's really minimum work. And I told her my plans for rental. And she goes, you're going to make a lot of money on this house. She goes, it's going to be a really good deal. And she says she didn't look at it that closely because it was a listing agent. She goes, I'm confident that you're going to do well on this one. And she goes, in the area that we decided to look in, she goes, you could see that the market is, everything in Florida is on fire, but she goes, this area is really starting to develop. And she says she thinks that we'll do really well. So she's going to also try to assist me. And actually, that's one thing I didn't think about, Hugo, is I was going to reach out to you I was going to email you, but to do Airbnb or for rentals in Florida. I don't know if you have any contacts. If not,
Yes. Please do me a favor. Can you text me and then I'll send you Russell's phone number. Yeah, he used to own 75 Airbnbs. Now he's down to 25. He's down to 25. I mean, but if there's somebody who knows Airbnbs, it's him. And, I mentioned that he moved to Orlando. So, I met up with him about 3 weeks ago. He's doing great. He's exploring the Orlando market and the surrounding areas. So, yeah, I'm going to connect you with him for sure. I'm glad you mentioned that. Please text me and then I'll send it to you.
I definitely will. And then I just wanted to say, so we were actually looking we've been really watching that market really closely. And so the person that's moving out of this house, they actually have a lot that's around it's in that area also to build on. And we're actually in negotiations with her right now. It just hit the market, but the real estate person has she's controlling it sort of. So we'll see. By tomorrow, I'll know. I put a bid in on that lot. They countered me. So I think tomorrow I might just pick up that lot also because I see that area is really starting to grow. And that'll be something that we'll talk about in the future, like to develop and do things of that sort. I mean, I know that's not something you guys do, but it's something that I would do because I do like that neighborhood and that area.
That's awesome, George. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So
one
how
more
much?
thing I was going to also say, I did put a cash offer in, and so I'm going to actually do a second home mortgage on that instead and try to get that before the closing so I won't have to put all the cash into the deal. So I'll just do 25% down, but immediately from what the real estate lady says with Airbnb, she was like looking at the numbers. She says it should cash flow really nicely. So it should have a big DCR on the, debt to income ratio, whatever, at the back end. So I'm excited. It's a little scary, but I never did this, but I'm just trying to get a lot of different resources and doing a lot of research on online and on YouTube.
Awesome, George. great job. So I look forward to seeing you on Sunday, and you can tell more about these other deals as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Perfect. So thank you everyone for joining. Anybody else? If not, I look forward to seeing you all on Sunday at 1 p.m. at DoubleTree Oakbrook. Okay. So congratulations, George. And anybody else? Any questions? Let me see. So I don't think you guys have any further questions. So thank you everyone. I look forward to seeing you in person on Sunday. So have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Hey, Hugo, can I take a guest with me?
Yeah, of course.
Somebody also who they don't know Chicago DealVault, so I want to get them exposed to it as well.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Brian, how are you doing with your Elgin property?
I did it. Yes, I did. Yay. Okay.
It's just betting on the tenants now. We put it in the market 4 days ago, I think. We have a lot of inquiries. I've got 6 applications right now that I'm looking at. But
whoa, that's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, with our criteria, it seems like only one kind of more qualified. The rest are kind of their income is not enough, I think.
Okay.
So
okay, no, that makes sense. Yeah, keep in mind the rule of the 40, right? So multiply the rent. I think you're renting it for $1,650, right?
No, $1,595.
Oh, $1,595. So 1,600 times 40. So that's 64,000. So they need to make over 60,000 so that they can comfortably pay the rent and expenses and still be okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, income is very critical. Are you using Smart Move, or which website are you using to screen the tenants?
So I had my agent. He sent the application.
Okay.
But it's like a paper. I don't know if it's a paper application, but he emailed it to me in PDF file. So I have to look at it and see. I wish it was something like that where they just click on it and they can put in their information and they can be screened that way. What's the name of the website again? Smart Move.
My Smart Move. That's from TransUnion. My Smart Move. There's another one called rentapplication.net. So they charge anywhere between $40 to $50, and then you get the credit report, meaning the FICO score, you get the eviction report, you get the criminal, and you have the option to get the employment as well. But for sure, criminal, eviction, and credit.
My Smart Move. And what was the other one? Sorry.
Rentapplication.net.
Rentapplication.net.
Okay. Yeah, and it's all digital, so you just give them a link, and it's secure. They pay online, and then it runs their credit, and then you get a report with everything that you need to have.
Okay, so I have to create my own file first, and then send that link.
Either you do that, or whoever you are working with has that access, and then they'll just send you the results. So either you do it, or the person that is helping you. But yeah, you need to have something like that, because then it's not secure to have their personal information floating around in PDFs. Everything needs to be secure. And then you'll have all the information that you need. Just check those services out.
Okay, will do. Thank you so much.
No problem. Are you going to be there on Sunday?
Yes.
Perfect. Looking forward to seeing you there.
Yeah,
Ryan.
same here. Yep. And also my brother Chester will be there.
Oh, perfect, Chester. Yeah, I spoke with him. He seems to be like a really good wholesaler.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Just awesome. Looking forward to meeting you both.
All right.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. Have a wonderful evening and see you all Sunday. If no further questions, I'll see you Sunday.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Hugo.
Thank you. See you everyone Sunday. Have a wonderful day.
You too.